So, my dear ones, lymph, that's the topic. A bit demanding because the lymph is not that simple. To explain it a bit simplistically for those who know better, I almost said may remain silent. No, you are welcome to correct me. So, the lymph is there to filter the dangerous substances from our system, like bacteria and viruses and everything else that floats around. So pathogens in general, and for that the body has devised a second, or rather third circulation, and that's what we want to work on. Please hit the bell and subscribe to my channel, then you'll get a bit more out of it. All right, so we want to take care of that a bit generally, because it's a huge network. Otherwise, there's no other way to do it. So I have to simplify it a bit. The central point is these lymph nodes where the bacteria, viruses, and so on are removed, and then they are drained. I believe through the bloodstream, it then out. The spleen also has such a central role. I don't want to bore you. You can read all about it. I'm more interested in these energetic stories, and that's what we're going to do now. So first, let's remove the dark energy from you. So the goal of this video, to finish saying it, is for the lymphs to function better. Logically, otherwise you wouldn't have a goal. So it does make sense to watch the video until the end. Stopping in the middle doesn't really help much. You might miss a few parts that are urgently needed again. So now let's deal with the dark energy. And you do need to have a bit of a theme. So we have that. Let's remove the deceased confessions again. Light and all singers. All energies residing in you don't belong dangerously into light. Okay, now let's work on this lymphatic system. Completely. First, all energies that don't belong there. Out, 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 out. Out, 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 out. Out, out, completely. I always form the avatar, which means they are practically treated because they are included in this avatar. So a person I treat consists of all the viewers who will ever watch this video. So that is my construction in this case. And we are all connected to each other, which is why I can also work on them. What belongs to the lymphatic system, which should not be underestimated, are, for example, the tonsils, or tonsillae, I believe it's called. They are also part of the lymphatic system and dispose of the area of the mouth or oral cavity, appropriate bacteria and viruses. And it is an important junction. So this removal of tonsils in early childhood. I also had tonsillitis when it wasn't too dramatic. When I was completely inflamed, it was usually counterproductive, but there are always situations where you have to do it, I understand, no question. So we remove the tonsils first. All the energies that are there. Out, 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 out. This also applies to people who no longer have tonsils. It doesn't matter, tonsils or no tonsils. Energetically, they still exist. I believe most people still have their tonsils. I often took antibiotics and then it was fine again. And then it started again after a few weeks, 6, 8 weeks. It was already for whatever reason. At some point, it just stopped.
Out, 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 out. Please. Please, I beg you, just a little bit more out, 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 out.
What also belongs to this is the thymus gland, which in childhood is more developed, and then it shrinks and perhaps is no longer present at all. But energetically, I still find it important. In the thymus gland, these were then from the bone marrow. Yes, these precursors of T cells, pre-T lymphocytes, as they are nicely called, I read that, formed, and they are converted into T cells in the thymus gland. T cells are the killer cells for invaders. Now, however, I believe not as important anymore. In adulthood, but in childhood, yes. When we have enough, we'll do it again, even if it might be quite atrophied and doesn't play such a huge role anymore. So the disposal of dangerous things in quotes, the body has really come up with something and also implemented several safety measures. Yes, there's a lot of energy on it. You wouldn't believe it with these thymus glands. Out, 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 out. These lymph are very small vessels that we pull through. I believe the entire body, just like the blood vessels, goes into the finest details. So the lymph stories also go into the finest details. So there aren't quite the large aortas and veins like in the blood circulation, but rather it remains a slightly finer network. So, and the central point is, of course, the spleen, which is responsible for the purification of the lymph fluid as well. The blood is small.
We do that. 2. Out. There's another one with a lot on it.
Oh. Now it's getting better. And then, of course, our body has a lot of lymph nodes. So we'll get to that in a moment. Once again, a jump in. The blood cells and nerve cells are formed into blood cells and lymph T cells or pre-T lymphocytes in the bone marrow. We also need to take out the bone marrow again. We'll clear that out again as well. All to achieve a good lymphatic system. You can't really do that. Limit it to the lymph nodes. You also have to keep an eye on these preceding and subsequent pathways somehow. What I do is simply push out this energy that I perceive, because for me, they are simply energies that belong out of there. So we have that the lymph nodes also have their own pump. Unfortunately, I didn't write down the correct term, but about 12 times a minute, they contract. They are located in the lymphatic pathways and contract. They are controlled by the central nervous system and ensure that the lymph fluid moves. Body movement is one thing, meaning we move, and thereby we also push out lymph fluid. And these pumps, which are located in the lymph vessels, like small intermediate pumps, I believe there is something similar in blood vessels, where it is actively pushed forward by the veins. And we'll take a look at all of them. I'll just call them pumps for now. Maybe I'll remember the name later. Then it can proceed. Yes, indeed, the lymphangians contract rhythmically, 10 to 12 times per minute due to the parasympathetic nervous system. I hope I'm pronouncing it somewhat correctly. Then let's take all the lymphangians that are in the body. We'll make one of them from the pattern, and then again. There are hundreds of thousands, millions, I have no idea, but there are definitely a lot. Let's do them again. Let's work on them again. Out. And that's the beauty of energetic healing. You can work very finely in every system. And you can immediately notice that something is happening. And almost everyone has lymph issues, I would say. At least in older age, it's important that your lymph vessels, lymphangians, that everything runs somewhat reasonably. And the biggest mistake is that we move too little as we age, or even in youth. Those who have an office job and then, exhausted, throw themselves into bed or onto the sofa forget their body also needs something. It needs movement. So, once again, lymphangians. We've got that. Feels better, feels freer. This video is also a bit prophylactic. So, like a routine, once a month, or if you currently have problems, do it every day, of course. If you have no problems, maybe once a month or two or so, ultimately based on how you feel. So it's a bit of prophylaxis. It's worth watching regularly. So it feels good. And then there are 900, I read, lymph nodes. We can't work on all of them. We'll do that in one go shortly. But the main lymph nodes, I wanted to briefly focus on those. So behind the ears. For the head, then we'll do both. We'll combine them. Everything that's in there, out, 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 out. Okay. Under the ears. It's also about the jaw to free it up. Out, 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 out. These are all energies that are jumping out. But it feels relatively good. Neck, neck. Oh yes, lymph vessels in the neck. I've never done this before, but there is indeed an issue there. It feels like it needs a little more tension. Out, out, oh, oh, oh. Our head is a sensitive area, to put it very cautiously. The whole body, of course, needs to be very, but the head, always well, cleaned, especially because the food intake comes in, yes, here. Breathing is also an opening, a body opening to the outside world. So a lot of stuff comes in that we might not want. I had already done tonsils. So, facial skin. Everything that's in there out? Oh, that's 50s. Strength on that there could be something. And the jaw. Out, out, out. That's a flailing. That's my technique. I can't do it any other way. I have to release this energy, which are also emotions stored there that then destroy the system. And we have the jaw, chin. That's not so bad. Grateful neck vessels. They then run parallel, if you will. I do both things simultaneously, of course. And the age that we get as much wild stuff in our bodies as possible. I think babies are vaccinated 20 times or something. Might be wrong now, or maybe it's a bit less, or 12. But I once read 20, 24 times. These are all foreign substances that come in. Sometimes there should even be mercury in it. I can hardly believe that mercury is used so that it is better absorbed by the cells. That's like a poisoning. But well, what we do to feel better. No idea if all of this makes sense or not, because I don't want to deal with it. But the core statement is we take in a lot of stuff through food and air, and we also introduce a lot of stuff as part of healthcare. All of that needs to be disposed of. Neck vessels. Or a jugular vessel. Over the collarbone. Here are central points that are important for this to be able to drain. So 5 liters of lymph fluid, I read somewhere wisely, are produced, and 2 liters circulate in our system. And when you do a lymphatic drainage, I mentioned the pumps earlier, then it runs 12 times. And when you do lymphatic drainage, it runs only twice as fast. That does make a difference. So anyone who has problems with that can certainly do it manually. So self-massage would also be possible. Or you can go to a professional, which doesn't hurt either. Taking care of your own body is always a good thing. In this respect, massages, especially for these lymphatic vessels, if done well, really good. It also gives the body the chance to dispose of all the junk. It should come naturally, but many forget to move, eat well, and not to consume so many things that ultimately aren't good for them. This also applies to medications. Every medication has an effect, meaning a positive effect for something against something like high blood pressure and so on. And also a negative effect. And the negative effect also needs to be disposed of somehow. The positive effect is also disposed of. Otherwise, if you take a pill, it would last forever. So, what else are we missing? Armpits. You also do that. You see, everyone who has cancer, they immediately have the armpits, the nodes there. They are sometimes surgically removed because the first cancerous things are located there. Cancer cells. So, right and left. That's even better. They also need head to run, of course. I understand that they are taken away if they pose such a danger. But of course, the central disposal stations are also taken away. So we need to wrap it up somehow, otherwise it will be too long. The video, but well, it is a large field. Chest wall. Let's do the... It's also clear that disposal is necessary there. The intake, everything that comes in there. Chest cavity. Then kidney, aorta, and so on. Genitals will do everything together there. The focus is on the creation of several living, breathing beings, which is a testament to a form of piety. This process involves understanding the essence of life and highlights the importance of nurturing these beings with care and respect. Those are all free. And then the knees. I already said these are just the main nodes. 900 exist, or 600, 900, I mean. I don't even remember how they count, but they are responsible for this body story. For the knees, now we gather them all together, the 600, 900, whatever it is, all nodes together, and put them into one, so that we have caught them all. Yes, it already feels quite good. Then again, the lymphatic pathways. Refine them once more with my bottle brush. These are in millimeter-sized channels. Well, but a model is a model. Good, now let's take a quick look at what the body says. Yes, this freezing, not moving anymore, that's a bigger problem. It's clear the lymphs are also moved by muscle contraction. We'll take that out again. And the ability and desire to move, I'll play that in now. Yes. Putting ourselves in danger too much, intentionally or unintentionally, I'll take that out again as well. And simply knowing that we are a sensitive being that can only tolerate a limited number of environmental toxins in whatever form, I'll play that knowledge in again. So, lymph. It did something. Wonderful. Yes, before I forget, I have written a wonderful book. Anyone who wants to can get it. It also explains how I came to do what I do and so on. Energetic Healing, Simply Explained, can be found on Amazon. Buy it or board. Book on demand, it is available there as well. I would be delighted if you are interested in it and know that there is something else in this world. Yes, thank you very much for your attention. It was nice. An important topic that I have always somewhat avoided. But now we have done it systematically. If you liked it or found it helpful, then just recommend it to others. There are always people who don't know my channel yet and are not aware that something like this is possible. Yes, and inform them. I believe you would be doing them a great favor. Take care. See you soon, your Cornelius.